Hello, and welcome to Communicate to Lead, the podcast that empowers leaders and aspiring leaders to communicate with clarity and impact. I'm Keely Belton, CEO and successful entrepreneur, and your host for today. I'm here to equip you with all the essential tools and strategies to master effective communication and lead your team to success. As the founder and CEO of The Tailored Approach, my goal is to empower you to be the best leader you can be. So sit back, relax, and join me in today's episode as we dive into the art of communicating like a true leader.
We've all been there. You attend a leadership workshop, listen to a podcast, or maybe you make a quiet promise to yourself on a Saturday night. You say, this is the week I start delegating effectively, so I'm not working until 8 p.m. Or this is the month I finally commit to having those difficult conversations immediately instead of letting resentment build. And for 3 days, you are on fire. You are using the tools, you are mindful, you are doing the work. But then life happens. A key team member resigns. A client crisis explodes on a Tuesday afternoon. You go on a much needed vacation and struggle to get back into the rhythm. Or you get swamped by the day-to-day firefighting of your role. Before you know it, 3 weeks have gone by. You haven't looked at your leadership action plan. You haven't practiced that new communication skill. And that critical voice in your head starts whispering, see, you can't stick to anything. It's too late to start now. Maybe you don't have what it takes to operate at this level. For me, my inner critic always speaks in you statements, like there's someone outside of me judging me. If your inner critic sounds like that too, you are not alone. That's often what happens when we internalize critical voices from our past. Parents, teachers, early bosses. The criticism becomes so automatic. It sounds like an external judge living in our heads. If you are nodding your head right now, I need you to listen up today. You do not have a capability problem. You, my friend, have a recovery problem. Today, we are talking about the single most important skill for sustainable leadership growth, the art of quick recovery. Welcome back to Communicate to Lead, the podcast for women leaders who are ready to step into their power with confidence and authenticity. I'm your host, Keely Belton. It is Thanksgiving week here in the US. You are likely juggling family, travel, year-end performance reviews, 2026 budget planning, and a heavy mental load. It is the perfect time to talk about what happens when we fall off the bandwagon and why the secret to success isn't staying on the wagon perfectly, but knowing how to climb back on quickly when you inevitably fall off. Let's dive in. I recently received an email from a colleague that stopped me in my tracks. She was talking about why so many smart, capable people get stuck. And she wrote something that I think perfectly applies to leadership development. She said, you do not have a not enough information problem. You have a follow-through problem. And underneath that, you have a thought problem. I'll say that again, in case you missed it. You do not have a not enough information problem. You have a follow-through problem. And underneath that, you have a thought problem. Think about that. In the corporate world, we are obsessed with strategies. We want the script for difficult conversation. We want the 5-step framework for strategic planning. We want the exact words to use when we are delegating a high-stakes project. But be honest with yourself. Do you actually need more information on how to be a better listener? Do you need another book on why strategic thinking is important? Do you need one more webinar on executive presence? Probably not. You know what to do. The breakdown happens in the execution. Here's the scenario I see with my executive coaching clients all the time. You plan to work on a specific leadership skill. Let's say blocking the first 30 minutes of your day for high-level strategic thinking instead of diving straight into email and firefighting. You do it for 2 days. You feel amazing. You're finally thinking like the senior leader you want to be. On day 3, you wake up tired, or an urgent request comes from the C-suite and you skip it. Just this once, you tell yourself. That moment, the skip, is not the actual problem. The problem is the thought you have immediately after the skip. Usually, the thought is something like, you blew it. You are already behind. You'll try again next quarter when things calm down. Or maybe even deeper down, you're not disciplined enough to be a strategic leader. Leaders who make it to the VP level don't struggle like this. And because of that thought, you don't miss just one day, you miss 2 months. The insight from that email was this: falling off is not the problem. How long you stay off is the problem. That's the game changer. Quick recovery is the actual skill. So I'm so grateful for my colleague mapping this out, because here's the thing. Think about the last time you fell off the bandwagon with a leadership or communication skill. What was the sentence running through your brain right before you quit? For me, it's usually something like, you are already tired, or you'll do it after this fire drill is over, or you'll do it after this client project is completed. And those thoughts feel true. They sound reasonable. But if I actually check, am I too tired to send one Slack message giving positive feedback to a team member? Am I too busy to block 10 minutes on my calendar for tomorrow's strategic thinking time? The answer is often no, I'm not too tired or too busy for that. What's really happening is that my inner critic believed the first thought it threw at me, and I let it drive my behavior without questioning it. You, my friend, are not broken. You believed a thought that took you off course. We tend to view career growth as a straight line. We decide to up-level our leadership presence, and we expect a smooth upward trajectory of perfection. But human beings don't change in a straight line. We spiral, we decide, we take action, we get sick, we have a bad week, we get pulled into a fire drill, and we slip. That dip or slip is normal. It's not a sign that you are falling or failing. It is not evidence that you don't have what it takes. It is part of how human behavior change works. The leaders who succeed, the ones who truly transform their communication and influence, they aren't the ones who never mess up. They are the ones who master quick recovery. Quick recovery means shortening the lag time between falling off and getting back on. So instead of waiting for a new fiscal year, a new quarter, or perfect time to restart, you restart at 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Instead of spiraling into shame, I never finish anything, you get curious about what stopped you. And instead of needing perfect conditions to get back on track, you learn how to do it even when conditions are messy. This is what separates leaders who plateau from leaders who consistently grow. It's not perfection, it's recovery speed. So, how do you actually do this? How do you develop quick recovery as a skill when you are juggling a full workload, managing people, and trying to stay visible to senior leadership? I've created a framework specifically for leadership and communication skills. I call it the Quick Recovery Method, and it has 4 steps: recognize, reframe, replace, and restart. Let me walk you through each step, and I'll give you real examples so you can apply this immediately. Step 1 is recognize the thought that stopped you. The first step is awareness. When you fall off the bandwagon, don't spiral into shame. Get curious. Ask yourself, what was I thinking right before I stopped? Not what happened. Instead, what were you thinking about what happened? Let's say you committed to speaking up more in leadership meetings because you know your ideas are valuable and visibility matters for your next promotion. You did great for 2 meetings. Then in the 3rd meeting, you stay silent. What was the thought? Maybe it was, everyone else seems so confident. If you speak up now, you'll sound redundant. Or maybe you thought you didn't prepare enough. You should wait until you have something really smart to say. Write that down. Write that exact thought down. Don't judge it. Just simply notice it. This step is critical because you can't change what you can't see. Most of us never pause to identify the thought. We feel bad and we move on. So your power is in recognizing the thought and writing it down. That's step 1. Step 2, reframe the story you are telling yourself. Once you have identified the thought, the next step is to separate fact from story. What actually happened? What story are you layering on top of what happened? Using the meeting example, the fact is you didn't speak up in the meeting. The story you tell yourself is you never speak up. You're not confident enough to be a senior leader. You missed the chance and now it's weird to jump back in. See the difference? The fact is neutral. You didn't speak up in the meeting. The story, however, is catastrophic. When you reframe, you ask, is that story actually true? What else could be true? Here are some alternative reframes that you could think about. I didn't speak up in that one meeting. That doesn't mean I never speak up. I was processing the conversation and didn't have a contribution in that moment, and that's okay. I can speak up in the next meeting. One meeting doesn't define my leadership presence. Those are some of the reframes to think about. You are not lying to yourself when you create these reframes. You are refusing to let one moment become a permanent identity. This is where a lot of leadership development fails. We skip the step. We try to jump from, I'm terrible at this, straight to, I'm going to be amazing at this. And our brain rejects it because it doesn't recognize, it doesn't resonate with us. So reframing is the bridge. That is step 2. Here's step 3, replace with a bridge thought. Now that you have reframed the story, you need a thought that will actually move you forward. This is what I call a bridge thought. It's not a delusional affirmation, in case you thought that. It's not toxic positivity. It's a thought that feels true enough to help you take one small step. A bridge thought acknowledges the reality of your situation, but moves you toward action anyway. Let's look at a few examples across different leadership skills. Example 1, delegation. You've been avoiding delegating a major project because you're worried your team member will mess up and that will reflect poorly on you. So your stuck thought is, if you delegate this, it won't be done right and you'll have to fix it anyway. You should just do it yourself. Here's your bridge thought. Even if it takes time to train them, even if the first version isn't perfect, delegating this project frees me up for higher level work. I can give feedback and coach them through it. Example 2 on difficult conversations, because this is something we always have to have. You've been avoiding giving constructive feedback to a team member for 3 weeks because you don't want to hurt their feelings. So your stuck thought is, you've waited too long. It's going to feel awkward by now. They're going to think you've been holding a grudge. So here's your bridge thought. Even though I waited longer than I should have, it's still better to address it this week than to wait another minute. I can acknowledge the delay and focus on moving forward. That's example 2. Here's a third example on strategic thinking. You commit to blocking time for strategic thinking every morning, but you've been diving straight into emails for 2 weeks. So your stuck thought could be, you've already blown it, your calendar is packed anyway, you'll restart next quarter or next year when things slow down. Here's what I invite you to think instead. Here's your bridge thought. Even if I can't do 30 minutes, I can block 10 minutes tomorrow morning. Some strategic thinking is better than none, and things won't slow down on their own. So I have to create that slowdown. Do you see how these bridge thoughts work? They don't demand perfection. They don't ignore reality. They open up a small path forward. That was step 3, my friend. So here's step 4. Restart with the smallest possible action. And with that, I mean take action today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. But, and this is crucial, make the action ridiculously small. Your brain is already skeptical that you can follow through. Prove it wrong with something so tiny, it's almost laughable. If you stop speaking up in meetings, send one Slack message today sharing your perspective on a team decision. If you stop delegating, identify one task, not 3, not 5, one that you can hand off this week. If you stopped having difficult conversations for one or other reason, send a calendar invite for a 15-minute conversation. You don't have to have the conversation this week. Simply send the invite. It's that one step that will allow you to build momentum, even if you have the conversation next week. The goal isn't to get back to 100% immediately. The goal is to prove to yourself that you are someone who recovers quickly. Because here's the truth. Confidence doesn't come from being perfect. Confidence comes from knowing that no matter how many times you fall off the bandwagon, you know exactly how to get back on. So let me recap the quick recovery method. Step 1, recognize the thought that stopped you. Step 2, reframe the story you tell yourself. Step 3, replace it with a bridge thought. And finally, step 4, restart with the smallest possible action today. This is the framework I use with my coaching clients, and the difference between leaders who stall out after a setback and leaders who keep growing year after year. Now, I want to connect this to something happening right now, Black Friday, coming up this Friday. This week, your inbox is probably flooded with deals, new leadership courses, new planners, new productivity apps, new masterminds. And listen, I am all for investing in your development. That's literally what I do for a living. But here's the danger I want you to avoid. Buying more strategy for a brain that hasn't learned quick recovery yet. New planner, same thoughts. New course, same follow-through problem. If you don't address the thought that stopped you last time, you too swamped, you're overwhelmed, it won't make a difference, you'll do it later, no amount of new tools will fix the problem. It's like buying a gym membership when the real issue is that you believe the thought you are not a person who works out. So before you buy anything this week, whether it's a course, a coaching program, a new tool for your office, ask yourself these 2 questions. 1, do I actually need more information, or do I need support in staying in motion when my brain throws a tantrum? 2, have I mastered quick recovery with the strategies I already have? If the answer to question 1 is I need support staying in motion, and the answer to question 2 is no, I haven't mastered quick recovery yet, then what you need isn't more content or strategies. What you need is accountability and mindset work. This is why in my coaching programs, in my one-on-one coaching, we spend so much time on mindset, because I can give you the perfect script for a difficult conversation. But if your brain tells you, you can't say that, they'll think you're demanding, the script stays in the drawer. If you're constantly starting and stopping with leadership development, the solution isn't more information. The solution is learning how to manage your brain so you can actually execute on what you already know. So, since this is Thanksgiving, I want to offer you some grace and a challenge. If you have fallen off the bandwagon on a professional goal this year, maybe it was speaking up more in meetings, maybe it was networking internally in your organization, maybe it was setting boundaries around your weekend work hours, I want you to stop carrying the shame. The fact that you stopped is not the issue. The shame you are carrying about stopping is the only thing keeping you stuck. Here's your action step for this week, and I want you to do this before we hit the weekend. Identify one leadership or communication skill where you've stopped. Maybe you've stopped blocking strategic thinking time. Maybe you stopped following on networking conversations. Perhaps you stopped giving real-time feedback to your team. Pick one, just one. Now, walk through the quick recovery method. Step 1, recognize. What thought stopped you? Write it down. Step 2, reframe. What's the fact versus the story? What else could be true? Step 3, replace. What's your bridge thought? What can you think that feels true enough to move you forward? And finally, step 4, restart. What is the smallest action you can take today or tomorrow? Not Monday, not next week, but this week. I'm going to give you an example from my own life to make this real. Earlier this year, I committed to posting and engaging on LinkedIn consistently. I know most of my clients are on LinkedIn. I know it's where I need to be visible. But I would post once or twice, and then weeks would go by without me showing up. I'd see other people posting regularly, and I think about engaging with their content. But honestly, I would not do it. The thought that was stopping me was, you already went silent for 2 weeks. People are going to wonder where you went. You're going to look inconsistent, flaky, and unprofessional. So the reframe that I came up with was, I posted a few times. That's more visibility than if I never posted at all. I can show up again without making a big announcement about being gone. So here's the bridge thought that I came up with. Even though I took a break, my audience still needs to hear my message. I can comment on one post today, and share one insight this week. And the small action that I took, I commented on one person's post, a genuine response to their content. No over explanation, no apologizing for being quiet. I simply engaged with their content. And that one small action broke the inertia. It reminded me that showing up doesn't have to be perfect. It can be messy. It reminded me that I have something valuable to contribute. That's the power of the quick recovery. You don't need a dramatic comeback. You need to restart quietly with one small step. So here's what I want you to do. After you listen to this episode, open your notes app, open a journal, or grab a piece of paper. It doesn't matter what works for you. Write down the one area where you've stopped. Walk through the recovery method. Then, this is the most important part. Take that smallest possible action before the weekend is over. I know it's Thanksgiving. I know you want to be enjoying family time or travel time Thursday through Sunday, but commit to taking that smallest step that you can possibly take. Don't wait until you feel motivated. Don't wait until conditions are perfect. Restart now, because the leaders who succeed aren't the ones who never fall off. They are the ones who climb back on faster than everyone else. So I want to leave you with this. You are capable. You are competent. You know what to do. The only thing standing between you and the next level of leadership isn't more knowledge. It's not more strategies. It's not another certification or another course. It's your ability to recover quickly when life knocks you off track. And life will knock you off track. You and I both know that. That's not a failure of your discipline or your worthiness. That's being human in a demanding role. So the question is, how long will you stay off track? Will you wait for the perfect moment, for next quarter, for when things slow down or when the new year arrives? Or will you climb back on this week, even if it's messy, even if it's imperfect, even if you're tired? Quick recovery isn't flashy. It doesn't need to be. It doesn't make for a great LinkedIn post, but it's still the skill that will compound over your entire career. Because a leader who recovers in 3 days will always outpace a leader who stays stuck for 3 months. So this Thanksgiving, give yourself permission to fall off and give yourself the gift of knowing exactly how to get back on. Thank you for spending a part of your holiday week with me. I'm incredibly grateful for this community of leaders who are committed to growing with intention and showing up with authenticity. If you found value in this episode, share it with a colleague who might be beating herself up about falling off the wagon. Let's normalize the dip and celebrate the recovery. If you want support applying the quick recovery method to your specific leadership challenges, I would love to work with you. You can book a complimentary leadership clarity call with me. You can click the link in the show notes. We'll talk about where you are getting stuck and how to build momentum again. Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Rest, recover, and remember, you don't have to be perfect to be a powerful leader. Until next Thursday, my friend, I am Keely, reminding you that great communication is the foundation of inspiring leadership. Keep learning, keep growing, and remember to communicate to lead.